Hello and welcome to That 90s Spider-Man show, where the spider comes in and he is a man, and that wasn't very good, but we'll go with it. I'm Henry, and I'm your host today, and alongside me, he's a lean green podcasting machine, it's Jack.
I'm neither lean nor green, but I'll take it.
Yeah, I was gonna say lean mean, but you're not very mean, you're very nice.
I think I'm more mean than I am lean or green.
I feel like you're more I feel you're nicer than you are green, though. I feel all of those things are slander. And I feel like that's the least slanderous thing of you. Because you can be green, environmentally.
Actually, no, I'm more green than I am lean.
Yeah. And you're definitely not mean when it comes to the environment.
Oh, so this is their polar opposites.
Yeah.
They're specifically mean in terms of greenness.
Yeah. You're not punching trees or anything like that.
Is the Hulk carbon efficient?
I'd imagine so. He doesn't use any kind of electricity. He just run around
He doesn't use clothes, really.
No. He's all fair trade clothing.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah. He doesn't wear shoes because imagine the amount of times that Nike is use children to make their shoes, and the Hulk no exploitation. Hulk fair trade. Whenever you get him food, he's is this gluten free?
Well, that wasn't even an impression. He just said it in a normal voice.
Yeah, because he's very serious about gluten-free food.
Oh, right, yeah.
He doesn't even do the affectation.
Yeah, no one actually asked him about it. That's
yeah.
The Hulk just wants someone to treat him like a human being and ask him about what he's really interested in, which is
the environment.
Being zero waste.
Yeah. Hulk says no more plastic. Do you know that Hulk knows that every time we throw away a plastic bottle, it gets eaten by a whale and the whale dies? Hulk sad by this.
I think he keeps saying to people coming up and having these speeches about the environment, and then the headlines is monstrous being destroys city, and he's like, what? No.
I was at the recycling plant to recycle things, not destroy things. There's a tank in there. Think of all the aluminium you can use this for. But we're doing a podcast, aren't we? So this is episode 7 of That 90s Spider-Man show. Thanks for tuning in. And today we're talking about Kraven the Hunter.
Both the guy and the episode title.
Yeah, that's actually pretty usually there's a pun we can make, but not today because they were no, let's play this straight. But yeah, so this episode is episode 7, and it opens on a domestic dispute between a scientist and a man who is not a scientist.
Yeah, definitely not. We're at the Hardy Foundation. I mean, you jump into it right away. The title card's up, and then you're in this laboratory where there's a guy wearing, or for anyone who doesn't know what Kraven the Hunter looks like, he's a guy wearing a lion pelt costume and tights, and he's got a bare chest, and bare ankles.
For some reason, bare ankles.
Yeah, there's a lot of skin on show, but also just a lot of fur, and he's got a amazing handlebar mustache.
Yeah, he looks a bit like Tony Stark, but his flamboyant cousin.
Yeah, he looks like an angry, evil Tony Stark, who's also Russian.
Was that Russian, or was it meant to be?
Yeah.
Well, they call him Sergei, don't they?
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, his name is Sergei Kravenov.
Ah.
In this scene, we're just throwing it into the middle of him arguing and shouting at this scientist called Dr. Maria Crawford, and he's really volatile, and she's saying some vague stuff about we need to find you a cure, and he's saying I need to take you back with me. We got to leave this city. You got to come home with me, and starts accusing her of being with another man.
Yeah, you've got his boombox though, so the sentiment's gone.
Yeah, and
it's a terrible apology.
It's not even an apology. It's it's very shouty and furniture throwy.
Yeah.
And at the same time, by coincidence, Peter Parker is coming to the same laboratory to interview for a job.
Yeah.
And the argument so kind of comes in hey, does anyone need any help? And Kraven just throws a table at the door to keep him out. So Maria flees, going through the fire escape, runs up into the roof of the building.
Yep.
At which point, Spider-Man appears to
save the day, effectively.
Yeah, but during this whole altercation, she falls off the roof and Spider-Man catches her. So starts the fight between Kraven and Spider-Man.
Yeah, and Spider-Man doesn't initially realize what's going on because he comes in, he makes his quip about hey man, you part of the circus or whatever, and he's not taking him seriously, but then Kraven starts to fight, and he's oh shit, this guy's actually pretty formidable.
But still, again, he's, for most of this episode, actually, he doesn't really take things that seriously.
No. To be fair, the episode didn't take itself seriously at all. Like,
yeah, that's true. Which is kind of what's great about it.
Yeah.
But during this fight, Spider-Man throws Kraven off the side of the building, at which point Kraven just completely disappears.
Yeah.
So he's like, okay, well, I'm going to get this woman to somewhere safe. Takes her swings it off with her and takes her down a few buildings. And on the way,
it's an expedition swing.
Yeah, she tells him her entire past. And again, from his point of view, he's like, aside from Kraven being quite strong and dressed weirdly, he's just stumbled across a domestic dispute.
Yeah.
And they're just arguing and he's getting violent. He's like, I'll get you to safety. And she's like, let me tell you about my life.
He's like, God damn, how much further?
Yeah, he's thinking like, man, can I literally never just solve a situation like this without it becoming completely bonkers insane as well?
Is there something which is a regular dispute where like the husband's been drinking too much? Nope. He has to be a crazy scientist. So yeah, he's talking about this amazing kind of research out in the jungle.
She explains that the name of the man, as we've previously said, is Sergei. Is it Sergei or Sergei?
I think it's Sergei. Yeah.
Right, Sergei Kravenov, who was a big game hunter in Africa.
Yeah.
Somewhere in Africa. And but eventually became a jungle guide when hunting was outlawed. She kind of briefly says. And she hires him to find one of her fellow scientists who got lost in the jungle doing research. He was called James Reeves. And during the months they're spending together searching for this man, they fall in love.
Because he strangles a cobra and just throws it into
the
bushes.
Yeah. Because he's just so amazing and doesn't give a fuck about nature.
I think that's the actual moment, isn't it? They're sitting by the fire and then
they genuinely kiss right after he saves her from a
fuck me on that dead snake. He doesn't even look back. He kind of just grabs it. Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, he just chucks it to one side. It wasn't that impressive. It was just kind of stupid.
It's just kind of pissed off now.
Or maybe it was just an extremely harmless snake that doesn't bite, and it's just a pest, and she's just very impressed because she doesn't actually know anything about snakes.
That was actually just a worm. It's a large worm. But no, they're falling in love. They're in the jungle. It's jungle love, jungle fever, you could say. And that's where they find Mr. Reeves, Dr. Reeves, even.
Yeah,
he looks a bit like Carrot Top.
Yeah, he looks really strange. He looks like what's his name? He looks like.
You think he's the guy from Thundercats?
No. But you're on the right lines. He looks like what's his name? He starts with B. He's green. Street Fighter guy.
Oh yeah. Maybe we're talking about.
He's got orange hair.
Yeah.
It looks like Blanka. Okay, well, so they're searching for Blanka and they find Blanka.
Yeah.
Well, they're searching for Reeves and they find Blanka.
White Blanka.
Yeah, white Blanka, yeah.
Blanco Blanka.
And it turns out that what's happened is that the scientist has created this serum that can cure any wound or injury or disease, but the downside is it makes you completely feral. And he's used it on himself, and that's why he's gone full Blanka. And
and then when they find him, he's just running with the animals now.
Yeah, he's just hanging out with animals, and I don't know, he doesn't really seem that unhappy about it, but he's like, okay, we'll take this serum that I made.
Yeah.
And she's like, wait, no, wait, don't go back to the jungle. And she runs after him, falls down, and is immediately attacked by
the same lions he was with 5 minutes ago.
It was the hyenas.
Oh, the hyenas?
Yeah, it's a pack of hyenas that attacks her. At this point, Sergei runs in to save her from this pack and fights them off one by one. But once they're all gone, he's really gravely injured. It's kind of unclear why, because he's fighting them and all their claws are bared and everything, but then he's just grabbing his head like he's got a concussion.
Yeah, and his shirt's been ripped slightly.
Yeah.
Quality cotton must get to seamstress.
But so he's lamenting the loss of his tribal gear.
Yeah.
And he tribal gear?
It's like a khaki shirt.
Yeah, I was gonna say jungle gear because it's
the jungle costume.
I threw it off by saying tribal.
Yeah.
Which is absolutely not what he's wearing.
He's wearing one of those those explorer outfits which are really beige. But yeah, it's been ripped open and she just pours it on his chest.
Yeah, she realizes I've got no choice but to give him this serum.
Yeah.
Or not, regardless of the consequences, he's gonna die. So she just pours it all over his chest, and it works, and he's absolutely fine. Until soon enough, he starts acting more feral, starts becoming one with animals, becomes more aggressive.
Starts fighting the lions.
Yeah, and then makes, I guess, between scenes, makes this kind of lion pelt costume. and starts saying, no, my name is Kraven now.
Yeah. I'm a hunter.
At this point, she's like, okay, well, I need to find a cure, so I need to head back to New York and make this cure. And then he chases her down, and that's where we get to the start of the episode again. Yeah. And in the meantime, Spider-Man's like, okay, great story. I'm just going to dump you
in like a random house.
Yeah, this is like the guy who lives here is out of town, so you can stay here a bit. And he drops her in through the skylight, and she's like, no, Kraven's gonna find us, he can track us and everything. And he's like, no one can track us, we just swung multiple buildings, so he has no idea who we are. The police will probably catch him, he's just a crazy guy.
Yeah,
I've got somewhere to go. And he just bolts out. Before he heads off, I will cut to Kraven, who is like sniffing his webbing and using that to track him.
Yeah.
And then Maria, meanwhile, is just kind of like...
She's a bit panicky because,
Well, she's panicky because she knows he's going to turn up and just sees a shadow and is like, yeah, I'm getting out of here. I got to stay on her own, got to go make a cure, and just like runs, accidentally leaving behind some research papers, I guess they are.
I think one research paper, yeah.
Yeah, so she leaves it behind as like a clue by accident.
Yeah.
And then we find out whose apartment this actually was.
Yeah.
It was Robbie Robertson from The Bugle, who just enters in, like, smiling, happy.
He's just come back from holidays, feeling nice and refreshed.
And he comes in and he plays an answer machine message, which lets us all know that JJ has asked him to cut his vacation trip short so that he can, come back and cover a news story.
Yeah.
And so he's coming home just like, it's just a work thing. But then pretty much immediately... Kraven breaks in and starts shouting at him and saying, you stole my woman and all this stuff. And Robbie's like, what the hell is going on? Who are you? Why are you in my apartment?
Who are you? What's going on here?
I can still smell her perfume. You are hiding her. You must be the other man.
Other man? What are you talking about?
And then Kraven finds the research paper and is like, well, you were lying.
Yeah.
Because I've got this right here. This is proof. And Robbie's
he's like, who are you?
What's happening right now? But he still doesn't believe him, so just kidnaps him.
Yeah, as you do.
And it's worth mentioning at this point that whenever Kraven comes in a room or the camera cuts to Kraven, jungle music intensifies. It just cuts in every single time. I don't know, it's my favourite thing.
Yeah, it's so fun. It's the Jungle Man.
Going with the jungle theme,
which is like all the way through this episode.
Yeah, lots of vague jungle stuff happening. But Peter is back at home.
He's got a tuxedo on.
Yeah, he's getting ready for this big event that he mentioned earlier. And Aunt May has given him a ticket to it, which she accidentally calls it a jungle animal show when it's a jungle fashion show.
Yeah.
And he's like, oof, hope there's no animals there.
I kind of think she wants him out of the house for some reason. Like, she doesn't really... She kind of like, pushes him out, and he starts talking again, and she just closes the door on him.
I think she's still trying to, like, set him up with MJ, because MJ's in this show, and it's surprising he didn't want to go anyway, but he goes along to it and goes to the backstage to go talk to MJ, just walks in and sees her getting ready.
Yeah.
And she tells him, like, yeah, you can take me for dinner after this. And he's thinking, oh, okay, everything's looking up Peter Parker.
Which he should know by now that's never going to happen.
Yeah, exactly. So he goes into the crowd. So MJ comes up on stage wearing this like leopard print dress thing, which Peter, he kind of elbows his way to the front and then just starts talking to the guys there, going like, yeah, that dress brings out the animal in me, if you know what I mean. And those guys thinking like, this is really weird. Why is this guy saying this to us?
This random teenager. Wilfred Brimley's next to him, like, thinking about diabetes. It's pretty great, and
So Felicia arrives and makes things even more awkward because Peter's surprised despite the fact it's a Hardy Foundation event and he probably should have known that.
Yeah, he kind of fucked up there.
Yeah, and he's surprised at that, but she basically suggests that he'd come with her to the after party and fuck, now I've got 2 dates, what do I do? But before he can actually like make any decision about that
or say anything, she's like, yeah, see ya.
Yeah, and then he doesn't necessarily have to make a decision then, because at that point, that's when Kraven has tracked him down.
Obviously, he shows up at the animal party.
Yeah, and he comes in, but he runs on stage, right? And he just grabs the mic and just starts immediately shouting nonsensically, Spider-Man, where is he?
Show yourself!
No, you're here. And everyone
Great hunting skills, by the way.
and everyone in the crowd is like, oh, this is a nice part of the show or whatever. But I don't know where they'd think where Spider-Man fits in with the theme.
Yeah.
Like,
Spiders aren't really like a jungle thing. They're just spiders.
yeah, well,
Arachnids.
especially not Spider-Man, which for them is just like a vigilante who works in their city.
It happens to be spider themed.
Yeah.
And like, to be fair, like Kraven is like taking liberties with the whole like spider thing. Like, it's not really an animal he can hunt, but he's hunting anyway. Like,
Yeah, I mean, he's not even like. I guess he's hunting him, isn't he? Because he's just smelling the chemicals, and I guess
he's getting high as fuck.
He's sniffing his webs and getting really high, and then tracking down that smell to Peter Parker, who presumably Peter Parker just reeks of chemicals. Because he's not like the scent of Peter Parker, it's the scent of his web.
Yeah, like maybe like no one in New York can smell anything because they're like, all the smell in New York is so overpowering they can't smell the chemicals reeking of Peter Parker. Peter, why are you smelling a meth lab? Oh, I'm making meth.
Yeah, that's a better excuse. At this point, like, Peter runs off, like, oh shit, I've got to take out Kraven now. And he runs away, comes back in as Spider-Man, or at least comes to the window and says, like, hey, Jungle Jim, come up here.
And obviously he comes up there.
Yeah. But then as he's leaving, he still gets spotted by MJ when he's leaving as Peter Parker.
Yeah.
Just like, oh, okay, he's doing the thing again. He's disappearing again. Yeah. He's just running away. Which, again, to her, does she think that he just saw an angry man on stage and just got terrified and ran away?
Oh, shit.
Or if he's like, he just hates the idea of dating her so much that he will run away.
Yeah. He saw her on stage, he's like, oh shit, she looks terrible. I gotta go. She walks off.
Yeah, and Spider-Man and Kraven start fighting outside, like on the sort of the front of the building, like on the side of the building.
On a little ledge.
Yeah, they just fight around a bit, and Kraven ends up sort of falling off the ledge a bit and is hanging on. At which point he gives Spider-Man the threat of, you got to bring Maria to me, or Robbie Robertson will be killed.
Your friend dies.
And then Spider-Man's like, wait, what? Robbie? And then he just like hands him up his ID card. Like, even while he's hanging off the edge, he's like, oh yeah, I got his ID here, just as little proof.
I also have this like voicemail of him being kidnapped, if you want it.
Again, he disappears, which makes less sense because Spider-Man's staring right at him, and he still disappears.
Maybe he's just so shocked. He's like, by the time he comes down, he's like, oh, he's gone.
Yeah, so Peter's like, of course, blaming himself because this is 100% his fault.
It's 150% his fault.
Probably should have taken her to the police and not just dropped her off in his friend's apartment.
Yeah, even if he's not there, like.
Yeah, that's still a bit weird.
Yeah,
but regardless, we're cutting back to Central Park Zoo, where Kraven is setting up all these traps, and he's talking to Robbie, who's now tied up and in a cage, and is still like, what is happening?
What is going on?
Who are you? What's going on? And then Kraven keeps saying, oh, you took what was mine. You took my woman.
Yeah.
There needs to be retribution because this is the way of the jungle. And Robbie's like, this isn't the fucking jungle.
This is New York. What are you talking about? Get like hands him some water. You're like, here, drink this. And then like Kraven's like, it is a jungle, the concrete jungle.
Yeah, and again, Robbie's like, what is happening?
He's so confused. Like, his confusion is the best part of this episode.
Yeah. Because it's just every escalating bit, and everyone else in the whole story knows what's going on apart from Robbie. They just don't at any point just explain things to him until like right at the end.
He's constantly just like, oh my god, like I've been kidnapped. Oh my god, I'm in the cage. Oh my god.
And it's not even like, oh no, Kraven the Hunter's here. That guy we all know about. Yeah. It's just like, oh my god, who is that?
It's crazy man in a lion pelt has kidnapped me.
Yeah,
he showed up in my house.
He thinks I'm sleeping with his wife. He's a poor guy.
Like,
he had to come home early from his vacation as well.
It's having the worst fucking time. Why are all these lions here? Also, is this like an abandoned zoo? There's no security at all.
I guess not. Or Kraven just like beat them up or something. I don't know. Meanwhile, Maria's like making her cure, whatever, and Spider-Man tries to track her down but misses her just. So he's like, well, why am I going on Kraven's terms at all? I can just
hunt Kraven.
Yeah, so he goes. And he sees an advert for the zoo, which gives him the idea. But I got really confused by this advert.
It's a really bad advert.
Because the advert just says, you belong in the zoo.
It's like aggressive marketing.
It's not even you belong at the zoo. You belong in the zoo. With like a picture of a lion on it and no other information.
That's all you need.
Like, I mean, is it saying come to the zoo?
I think that's what it's saying. It's like McDonald's had changed their slogan to "You're hungry, eat a burger."
Yeah,
now.
but no. It's like if they changed it to eat a burger or something like that.
Yeah.
But then they didn't have any McDonald's like text there at all. They didn't have any logo, so you're just like, what?
Yeah.
I guess I want a burger. It's just an insult going around on the back of a bus. You know?
Eat a burger, you fat fuck.
No, well, I mean, even the jungle one is an insult because it's just like you belong in the zoo.
Yeah, you belong in the zoo. You're an animal.
Yeah.
You know what? I should go to the zoo.
Yeah.
Maybe that random slogan is right.
Come to the zoo, you piece of shit.
Yeah, you fucking prick. Go see the zebras.
Yeah. They're so much faster than you'll ever be.
Go to the gift shop and spend money, you dumb motherfucker.
That's some horrible late capitalism thing. But so he gets this idea right from seeing that and goes, oh well, I guess
Kraven belongs in the zoo.
yeah, I belong in the zoo. Maybe he doesn't even say, oh, I guess I'll go to the zoo because this marketing is working on me.
He was gonna go to like a Burger King or something like that. But no, he said, no, you know what? That's right. I am quite animal themed, aren't I?
Yeah.
I could go to a zoo.
I'm too stressed out. I'm just gonna go for a walk in the zoo.
Yeah.
So he heads down to Central Park Zoo, but as soon as he gets there, he's kind of immediately hit by several traps that Kraven set up. This Rube Goldberg situation of just a series of things he's falling into, which leaves him falling into water.
There's like one with like a stick and a rock where like Kraven just pulls the rock and everything just explodes.
Yeah.
You're like, sure.
And
why not?
And he falls down, at which point a secret underwater rhino rises up, having been completely submerged under the water. And
The rhino was in on it, definitely. Like, I'm just gonna hide here when he comes in.
This rhino's evil as fuck.
You see, I come up like, I got you, bitch. I'll take you down, motherfucker. So yeah, Spider-Man jumps over the rhino.
And they start fighting, and at this point he realizes that Robbie is having again the worst day because he's now hanging,
like dangling from a waterfall.
Yeah, dangling over a waterfall. She's full of alligators. Just like, what the fuck?
Upside down, blindfolded.
I was on
again.
vacation 2 days ago, and now I'm completely fucked up.
I'm in mortal peril for what he knows. There's no reason.
Yeah. Kraven's like asking where Maria is, and Spider-Man's being honest, I don't know where she is, which just starts up a fight.
Yeah.
Where Kraven starts to bend the rules, I think, of what counts as like, jungle tactics.
Yeah.
Because he just starts exploding trees so that they fall on them.
Yeah.
As if like because it's a falling tree that's still with the theme,
Yeah.
as opposed to just being an explosion of a man-made device.
Like, technically, it's from the baseball bat. That's technically wood, so technically nature.
Yeah.
So he's throwing shit at him. Like, Spider-Man's... He starts off quite handily, and it just gets, like, overwhelmed by everything going on. But he gets eventually, like... He throws that weird, like, ball thingy with the rope.
The bola.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah. Wait, Ebola?
I didn't say Ebola.
The bola.
The bola.
The bola, and then no E. Okay, so he bolas him up, and then that's when Maria shows up.
Spider-Man's all fucked up at this point and can't really do much, but Maria enters and immediately steps on another trap, which is this super forceful water which like hits her and sends her
flying.
She goes flying for like I don't know, 50 feet.
The best part of this is that like the rope that triggered the water trap also was holding Robbie Robertson.
Yeah. So at this moment he's now plunged into the water with these alligators, while and then Maria, of course, is now been launched into this lion enclosure. So she's got lions going out at her, and Spider-Man, of course, goes to save Robbie because Robbie's the best.
Yeah, and also because he let it. Like if he died, he'd be like, oh fuck.
He died not knowing what was going on whatsoever.
It's like if she died, she knew what she was getting into. Robbie was just like this dude.
Yeah.
He didn't deserve any of this.
I mean, he's gonna have like a really good like op-ed the next day. Like, yesterday I was kidnapped by a crazy Russian man who said I was fucking his wife. That can be the headline.
Then I got fired because I missed my appointment with Jonah.
But yeah, so
If that was Eddie Brock, his life, he would have like died 3 times over. He would have lost his job. But God smiled upon Robbie Robertson. Well, not smile upon, but
they did the opposite. They
Yeah.
laughed at him.
Well, he should have been dead, really, but no, he's not. Because
I guess he didn't really. He was just kind of going with it this whole episode, like, oh, what? Okay, okay, sure. Oh, okay, I'm back at home. I guess.
Yeah, he's just too nice to really be like frustrated or upset about what's going on.
Yeah, that's the point. He's never like, get me down from here. What's going on? He's always just like, hey, who are you? What's your story?
Yeah. He's in like journalist mode somehow. Because sat by lions, he's like, oh yeah, these are lions, right? I wonder what's happening with you guys. Anyone want to comment? Oh shit, you ate my microphone. But
he's in the water now, and Spider-Man jumps in. He like webs up a few of the alligators.
But at that
grabs
point,
in.
like his web shooter stopped working for some reason.
Oh yeah. He webs them up, and then the third one he can't get, so he just like picks them up and just jumps from
He just starts
alligator.
hopping.
Just hops from head to head until he can get out.
Like a really, really like entertaining Donkey Kong level.
Yeah, it is actually. Isn't it?
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Kraven is like jumping into the lion enclosure to save Maria, and just starts fighting him off.
Yeah.
And they're kind of fucking him up a little bit.
Because they're lions.
Yeah. So Spider-Man comes in to help, and he rips the gate off and sort of fends off the lions with it, and then
Like webs it to like the enclosure.
yeah, to like keep them back. But at this point, Kraven's already got fucked up. Luckily, Maria's like, oh, I got this antidote. I made it earlier. And pours it on him again. Does she give it to him? Like, does he drink it?
He drinks it this time.
Yeah. So she was like, that was where I went wrong last time. So I just poured it all over his.
I probably should have used this mouth, which
Yeah.
was there.
I was just too like turned on by how sexy his chest is. That I just poured it all over.
Yeah.
Like, this will look great.
Yeah, this will look great. It might as well like save his life. But yeah, so like he kind of lies there, and suddenly he comes back to life. He's like, "What happened to me?"
And he's all chill now.
Yeah.
And Robbie is still there, like, hey guys, anyone want to explain what the fuck just happened?
Why am I here? And Spider-Man's like, "Yeah, so
Entirely my fault.
yeah."
Again, from his point of view, like, Peter Parker knows Robbie. Spider-Man's had a few interactions with Robbie, but it's not like a friend. So he's like, oh yeah, I just dropped off this like fugitive woman who was on the run. I just dropped her off in your place. That's cool, right? And Robbie be like, how the fuck did you know where I lived?
Don't worry about it.
That's creepy.
Yeah.
I don't know who you are.
And Spider-Man keeps going like, "Yeah, like, okay, it's okay, friend." He's like, "I don't know you."
Do you mind if I stay on your couch? I got a friend. He doesn't have a place at the moment.
I ate all your pizza, man, and you're out of milk.
So I mean, it's all solved at this
Yeah.
point because
They go away in a boat. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, they go back to Africa on this boat.
Kraven doesn't change.
Well, he seems like he's changed. Oh yeah,
He's still in his like Kraven suit.
he changed as a person.
Yeah.
But I mean, what's he gonna do? Like, right, let's all head out to the Gap. Let's get some clothes in now. It's like, let's just go home. I'm assuming he just like swam from Africa and didn't bring any clothes.
Yeah, that's also a good point. How did he get to Africa? Like,
yeah.
there's no way he gets through an American airport.
Well, no, I mean he hasn't got anything on him.
But he's clearly crazy.
Yeah, but I mean, I think they let a lot of crazy people, and it's just like, yeah, but how much liquid do you have on you? You can rant and rave as much as you want, but he's just saying vague like jungle things.
Yeah. But yeah, the business or pleasure, sir. I'm here to take back my wife. So, pleasure? I guess you can call it a pleasure. To murder those who come after my wife. Do you have any, like, liquids on you, sir? Like, that's insane. Like, do you reckon if he was brown, he'd be able to get through?
Oh,
This is
right.
what-
Yeah, it'd be a little bit different.
It'd be a bit different.
I guess that's the moral of the story, is white privilege.
White privilege. Of course, like, yeah. So no, he goes back on his boat. He doesn't stop by the Gap, because I feel like, yeah, he's living Kraven now.
Well, he's going back. He's going back to the same place, presumably. So he's more appropriately dressed.
Yeah, but
No,
like,
well, not appropriately dressed for being in the jungle, not the continent of Africa.
that's like everyone dresses in Africa.
I want to make that clear. That's not my opinion. But,
So no, they didn't have time for the Gap. Head off on a boat for some reason. Like, it doesn't surprise me that Kraven's not allowed to fly, to be honest. So he's on a boat.
yeah,
They got a boat back to Africa, which must take them fucking ages, actually.
yeah.
Like, from the east coast of America, that's like a 3-week journey.
I don't know.
So yeah, they boat back to Africa, and Peter, like, as Spider-Man's like, yeah, Robbie. So I fucked up there.
Yeah.
No one's told him what's going on still.
And again, Peter Parker's personal life is kind of takes the hit there because he's like, but it's not in a really bad way, but it's just like he's just swinging off like, oh, okay, so I helped like repair their relationship. But for me, I had a chance of dating 2 women and it was going really well. Now I started with 2 women and now I've got 0 women.
Yeah.
And 1 Spider's man.
Yeah, 1 Spider's man. And so yeah, he's on a roof like, yeah, I fucked up. I'm screwed.
Yeah, and again, all this looks so bizarre to everyone because Robbie doesn't know what happened to him. Spider-Man actually never really explained things on screen. You can assume he said that off screen.
Well, you hope.
But he could have just gone like, yeah, my bad, man, and then just like walked away and left Robbie forever confused.
On top of a rooftop, probably.
And Felicia goes to the after party and just no one turns up. And MJ's like, oh, Peter left. Like 5 minutes after making plans with me, he just like left. And,
doesn't show up after all.
Yeah, and he comes back and I guess Peter has to go, yeah, I had to go to the bathroom for 12 hours.
I had a really bad the craps, man. I just had to shit for 12 hours.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's a better excuse.
Then I fought like a crazy man in a lion pelt.
Yeah, I had to attend to my meth lab.
But no, yeah, we don't even get to see what happens. We kind of just get like Peter going like, yeah, my life is fucked, as he swings away sadly.
And that's the end of the episode.
That's the end of the episode.
Penny for your thoughts. Will you please just tell me what's going on here? How did I get involved?
I guess you have me to thank for that.
So, you know how the other day you were saying about Mysterio and about how he's your favourite villain?
I knew this was going to happen.
Yeah, I was like, I didn't think about it at all, but like, as soon as like Kraven shows up, I'm like, this guy's my guy.
Yeah.
Like, he's a crazy man who like, uses animals to fight Spider-Man. Like,
Henry's got a thing for
careful how you phrase this.
Animal-based jokes. I'd say.
Okay.
Any joke in The Simpsons that's about an animal,
Especially dangerous animals.
yeah, will floor Henry, and it helps that those jokes are really funny. In
Yeah.
The Simpsons, but it will be anything, any joke. If you want to make him laugh, then just
Talk about like wolves or like...
yeah, just anything. So. I was gonna say Kraven was in fits laughing, but no, Henry was in fits laughing.
Kraven probably was in fits laughing though.
No, but Henry very much enjoyed this episode, and I
Yeah.
knew that he was going to come out of it like, "Hey, I love Kraven."
I do love Kraven. Not as much as like Maria could, but like second to that.
I think there's something entertaining about Kraven because, almost like Mysterio, he has like nothing to do with Spider-Man as a concept or as a totem or
there's
symbol.
no thematic point to this.
No, it's just completely contrasting,
Yeah.
which is kind of what a lot of those early Stanley issues were, but like just throwing concepts out the wall and seeing what stuck, and a lot of them did in the end. But Kraven is just a strange idea to like throw out there, and it was just like another guy. Oh, okay, here's this guy who is a hunter who's gonna take down Spider-Man.
Yeah.
That's good enough, sure, and then it just ends up.
Let's do another line of cocaine. Nah.
He's a really strange one.
But I greatly enjoy like all the ideas. Like I wonder what happens to Dr. Reeves, who just went back to the jungle now, just among the jungle people.
Yeah, I guess he's just like, I don't know, he's just gonna enter in a fighting tournament.
On the street, like.
The strangest thing about him is that he's not, as far as I know and as far as I've researched, someone who ever comes up in the comics.
Oh, right.
But he seems so specific. Like, they gave him, like, a full name, and he's at the origin of Kraven.
Yeah.
And then he is this animalistic person. He looks like a kind of mix between, like, Tarzan and Blanka.
Yeah.
And he's hanging out in the forest and is just kind of, like, chill with it. Like, okay, well... It's bad that I got turned feral, but I'm just gonna deal with it. And
I'm having a great time.
And he doesn't become like Kraven, where he's angry and vicious and like attacking everyone. He's like, no, I'm just gonna go hang out with these wolves.
Yeah, this is what I do now.
I'm just gonna Mowgli it up.
Yeah. I want to see like an episode with him. Or just a whole show with just him fucking with animals. Just like, this is what I do now, I'm the king of the jungle.
Yeah, but I don't think he's even fucking with them. He's just like chilling out.
Like,
you know?
yeah, when I say fucking with, it's like hanging out, I guess.
Oh, I thought you meant like, you know, like pulling on a monkey tail and like running away or something.
I'm sure they have like good natured ribbing between them.
Yeah,
Like
it's
workplace banter.
It's back and forth.
Yeah.
Jungle based banter.
Well, yeah, like that's what they all say, Mr. Monkey.
Oh, well, does he only speaks in grunts at this point, right?
But that's like, yeah.
But somehow Maria still understood what he was saying.
Yeah. I guess he hands her like the serum. She's like, obviously this is a serum, not just serum piss. And he just walks off into like the cave with the lions. The other thing is it's kind of a bit like Simba. in a weird way.
He looks like Simba.
Like the red mane and that kind of thing. Like he's got a very like Simba vibe to him. So he's like his own little Lion King.
Well, I just think he's Blanka now. I can't get that out of my head now. I've made that comparison because he's got the same hair. It's just the greenness.
This is the greenness. But yeah, like environmentally, he's probably very green because a bit like the Hulk, like no electricity out in the jungle.
Yeah, exactly. No carbon emission.
Well, like all like the animals, I guess, are pretty big carbon emissions, but like he's not burning coal out there.
Yeah, he's got no phone.
Yeah, all the communication he used to do was with other lions, anything. But yeah, like he's out in the jungle, and like, the whole through the episode, I was like, this is everything I need. And the cherry on top of that was just the whole Robbie Robertson like thing.
Just having his face as he reacts to the stuff. I think with this going for this episode as a whole, there's not really much to pick out in that. Okay, episode is good because of this, or it's bad because of this, and this. But I just enjoyed it because there was just always these interjections of Robbie Robertson being confused, or the jungle music like just entering out of frame, and then Kraven appears. Just Kraven doing weird stuff. It's just such a bizarre story, and they seem to like, rather than go through a great effort to make this like a grounded storyline where Spider-Man learned a really important lesson or anything, it was just like, okay, Spider-Man's trying to live his life, some crazy shit happened to him and it ruined his day, and that was it.
They're leaning into the chaos.
Yeah,
well,
which kind of makes it really entertaining.
Because in previous episodes, even with Mysterio, there was like a lesson of like, oh yeah, I have to be better. But here, like, Spider-Man, like, he fucks up on quite a few levels here.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't learn anything.
Well, I guess he, throughout the episode, he takes them more seriously. Because right at the start, he's very much like, crazy guy in a jungle costume, and like, yeah, sure, I guess the police will handle this, whatever, and eventually handles it himself.
Yeah.
But that's the only real arc of any.
And I guess like the Robbie Robertson stuff, where he's like, I put this man in danger for no reason.
Yeah.
But he doesn't even apologise for it.
Yeah, I think the lesson he learned was not to just drop off people at Robbie's apartment anymore.
Yeah. Like, the man is a saint, but you will kill him one day.
Yeah. Maybe just phone ahead before you do it next time.
Yeah, no, so, like, he probably learned that lesson. And probably, like, a lot about how to deal with people in domestic situations, where you just don't leave them in people's apartments randomly. But to be fair, it's a really nice apartment, so if you're gonna, like, take, like, a fugitive there...
It's got a skylight.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
It's pretty nifty. What's that gonna cost you in New York? Yeah, like, Robbie's salary must be off the charts at the Bugle. Just...
Yeah, I guess he's raking in the money at Bugle. Yeah. Back when print journalism was still a thing.
Back when it was still alive instead of rapidly dying.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, like, maybe that's part of the job, though. Like, you come in a bit early from your vacation, you get kidnapped by a jungle man. It's part of, like, the contract, you know? Like, the Bugle's probably not liable for this. Yeah, and what happens to, like, the thing he was meant to cover? Like, that just didn't get covered.
Well, I guess the story of being kidnapped by a crazy man and taken to the zoo is, like, more, you know, that's more front page material.
But it's probably less believable. Like, if you're J. Jonah Jameson and, like, Robbie comes in...
I'm sure there's CCTV footage.
Okay, I hope so.
I mean, they got have CCTV at a zoo, right?
There was no security at the zoo. He was just, like, wrangling up lions. Like, nobody's business.
I'm sure they're all tied up somewhere.
Yeah, I hope so. And how long has he been there as well? Like, that's another question I have to ask. Like,
who?
Kraven. Like, he's been, like, living in the zoo, right?
Yeah, but I think all this happened in, like, the same night.
So he took over a zoo...
Well, no, because Peter saves him, saves Maria, and is like, yeah, I've got to go to an event. Yeah. Then he goes to an event, and then Kraven crashes that event, and then says, you got to come to find this place.
He's got to... So, in one night, he has to find his estranged, like, girlfriend, track her down to Robbie Robertson's house, kidnap that dude, bring him to that lair in the zoo, then go back to the event.
Yeah.
And then, like, fight Spider-Man for a bit, take his business card out, Robbie's business card out even, go back to the zoo, set up all these traps. That's at least, like, what, like 8 hours worth of work?
I don't know. Well, I mean, we're presuming that wherever this event is, it's like a 5-minute walk from Central Park Zoo. Because it would only not make sense if it's, like, in between all these things, he has to get on the tube for, like,
it's a hail a taxi.
55 minutes. Yeah.
The zoo, please. It's 2 a.m. Just go to the zoo. I have things to do. No matter like the kidnapped man I have with me.
Or just sprinting.
Just carrying him on the shoulder.
Oh yeah, shit, he's got Robbie as well. How is he getting that?
Like, logistically, I don't want to think about it, but I imagine that's a great story as well. It's a busy evening, you know? But no, yeah, so Spider-Man doesn't learn anything, but I reckon next episode he's going to get a bit of, like, retribution for what's happened, because he's shut the bed quite a lot.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
And this is the first time we get sort of the colliding of worlds between MJ and Felicia, although they don't have any sort of interaction with each other or even notice that Peter has something going on with the other one. It's the first time where those have kind of come together, because all the other episodes were kind of alternating.
Yeah.
Where one episode would have Felicia as a side story, and the next one would have MJ as a side story.
Yeah.
So that seems like it's going somewhere.
Yeah.
Which is also interesting, because you think like they don't have that same pressure when you're in this episodic Saturday morning cartoon thing. You don't need to slowly build stuff, but it seems like they are a little bit.
Yeah, it's kind of escalating. Like, to be honest, in this episode, I was kind of expecting like a Brady Bunch kind of thing, where like Peter would be like, "Oh, I'm going to be here," and I'm going to be here at the same time.
Yeah, I guess that's another thing, and it's a recurring thing with these episodes, is there's a lot of passion behind the scenes where they're like, yeah, let's deal with this stuff, but then they still like have to do these 20-minute episodes, and it just ends up getting reeled in. And what would have been really entertaining of like, oh god, Kraven's here, but I'm doing this two dates at once thing, that's like a
and I'm gonna fight like a jungle bat at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. I've got 3 dates at once. But
Peter, are you bleeding?
But instead it's kind of like, yeah, I just got to go.
That's a much better sitcom, though, to be fair. Like the Brady Bunch with like a crazy jungle man like attached to
it. This is how I would characterize so many of those early Spider-Man comics, and why I'd recommend them as reading is because a lot of the Stan Lee comics, which is like the first, I don't know, 120 issues or something, they are like, oh, okay, let's take this crazy soap opera or this crazy sitcom situation, and this comedy situation, and let's like inject a superhero into it. So it is this kind of crazy stuff, but then with the added complication of, oh, this guy's a superhero as well as
like being like a teenager, like Saved by the Bell almost, with like crazy jungle man.
Yeah and that's kind of the appealing thing about it, because I mean, in those early issues, because you had the letter section, and you get a lot of people who are like, hey Stan, can you stop putting the stuff with the girlfriend in it, because I'm here to watch him fight someone. And and then like sort of having a snappy comeback to that. But I think that's what ends up making it great, is because they have that juxtaposition. Yeah. And I'm glad they've got that in this show as well, even if it's like they can only fit in a little bit of it.
And I think like as like a superhero, it's like he's the only one who really does that. Like for all the superheroes in the entire like comic universe.
You mean Marvel or just general?
I think in general. Like the idea of a secret identity isn't really an issue for anyone apart from Peter Parker. Like you could argue like Bruce Wayne, but
usually they would also have a more specific focus in terms of like, for instance, Bruce Wayne has got to be the billionaire playboy, and Daredevil has to be the lawyer, and they all have like a vocation that they're focusing on, whereas the fact that Spider-Man's the photographer is one thing, but that's usually directly related to the Spider-Man stuff, as opposed to him having to deal with that. It doesn't bleed
into his life at all.
Yeah, and a lot of the life stuff is just focused on general life stuff because of that. And I think they're really centered on it. And I think it's the reason they've stuck with that so much is because Stan Lee was so adamant on doing that early on, and making it about something that was relatable to teenagers by focusing on the teenage parts of his life. Yeah. So that as the series went on, and as the new writers took on, a lot of them have kept with it, and a lot of the, not necessarily all bad, but a lot of the less good storylines that come later on are when they get so caught up in their own lore, and like, oh, here's the 10,000 different symbiotes we've introduced, and here's all these clones, and remember this guy, he's doing this now. And when they get so bogged down in that and they forget about his personal life, then it might as well not be Spider-Man anymore. It could just be anyone fighting that villain. Exactly.
And I think that's what makes it kind of like Spider-Man to this day is like still the highest grossing like comic book character out there. I think like the relatability aspect of it, like sure, like you probably won't like fight like an Octopus Man like every single day, but you will have the option of like the problem even of having two girls like at one time, and there's a third thing happening.
I don't have that problem.
I mean, like, well, like you can like relate to that problem more than you can relate to like, I don't know, like being a Playboy millionaire or between like being an alien from another planet.
Yeah, and also I think the biggest thing that will be relatable is the idea of going through your personal life and having your personal life not go the way you want it to go, and not really being able to explain it because you're like, well, there's this other side to my life, or there's these problems I don't speak about that are weighing me down or holding me back in some way. Yeah. So you don't quite understand how hard it is for me. And that is something which I think a lot of adults have, but
from like
definitely like teenagers have.
Yeah.
Of like, no one understands how bad I've got it, you know.
It's almost like a mental health thing in a way, isn't it?
Yeah, I can see it being read in that way. And yeah, there's a lot to relate to in that, and that's why I think it kind of, even the more cliched aspects of Spider-Man can kind of work with that, and that's why I love when they zero in on that. It's why I like those first two Raimi movies, they really zero in on that.
Because those movies are focused on Peter Parker the person rather than like, the superhero part.
Yeah, and just his like personal life, like struggling to hold up this like extra like heroic side of his life as well.
Like his life is hard enough as it is, even without the fact that he has to like save the city from like one dude or the other.
For something that he's not going to ever get praise for as Peter Parker. He might get it a little bit as Spider-Man, most of the time not.
Probably not, no.
But if he ever did, it would be thank to Spider-Man for this, whereas he goes back and he's still like missed class or whatever.
I think in that way, Spider-Man's unique as a superhero in that way. Even today. There's not many characters out there who kind of depend that much on the secret identity.
Saying all that,
yeah,
the original comic from which Kraven emerged actually doesn't really focus that much on Peter Parker.
Really? No.
I mean, it has aspects to it, but it's proper sidelined for the plot, actually. Okay. Which I was kind of expecting this episode to be one of the ones like with Mysterio or Scorpion, where they went with the comic book storyline, but it's actually quite different.
Okay.
The only real similarity is that a guy called Kraven the Hunter comes to New York and fights Spider-Man, and that's pretty much it.
Okay.
For one thing, Maria isn't in the story.
Okay.
And she is in Spider-Man comics, but she doesn't turn up into Amazing Spider-Man 209.
Okay. And when does Kraven show up?
He shows up in The Amazing Spider-Man 15.
Oh, shit.
So he's still really early. He's still in the Stan Lee days and everything, but she's like this separate character. And I think there's more to her storyline that comes up in this show and will come up in that issue as well.
Okay.
But so she's not there, and James Reeves isn't there, and because of that, there's not really the background storyline of Kraven is all just alluded to.
Okay.
And he's a much different character, and one I actually kind of prefer.
Really?
Because he's got the same sort of basic thing of being
a crazy guy who wants to hunt Spider-Man.
Yeah, but in this episode, he's not really wanting to hunt Spider-Man. It's just like that's a means to an end. He wants to get his woman back.
He wants to fuck.
Yeah. and he will fuck up Robbie Robertson. He will do whatever he can to Robbie Robertson to get that end.
Yeah.
Whereas like in the comic, it's more from the basis of a challenge.
I'm gonna hunt the spider.
Yeah. And
is Robbie Robertson in the original comic as well?
He's not in this comic. I mean, he's introduced at this point. Well, actually, no, he's not even introduced at this point.
Really?
Robbie comes in slightly later.
Okay.
All the Bugle stuff early on is just J. Jonah Jameson's there, and Betty Brant is there as a receptionist, as a secretary who leaves a little bit later, and Ned Leeds as a reporter who I think will turn up later in this show. But there's no Robbie until later, until maybe even like nearer to issue 100. When it gets a bit later, I guess when they hit the 70s.
Okay.
When it hit the 1970s. And then he becomes like a huge feature of it because he's constantly standing in the way between of JJ and his crazy schemes.
He's like reining him in a bit.
The weirdest thing as well in this one is that J. Jonah Jameson, you would think this is prime material for JJ to go nuts on, and he's actually completely normal in this issue. Like he's actually like quite sane. But I'll go through the recap of this one. The issue starts off in a way you probably wouldn't expect. I don't know if you know about this connection, but
I have no idea.
But Spider-Man's just attacking some bank robbers who they've robbed a bank. Now they're going back to their headquarters. He comes in, there's 4 guys. He takes them out and he webs up 3 of them. And he's like, wait, I thought there were 4 of you. That's weird. The 4th guy runs out into the alley, sprays a chemical over himself that changes the colour of his suit, and then whips out an extendable cane and then starts like walking like he's an old man.
Yeah.
And Spider-Man sees him and goes, oh yeah, I thought there was another guy, but that's just an old man there. Leaves him. This guy goes back to his hideout, pulls off his mask. It's the Chameleon.
Oh no.
Who's one of these bank robbers.
Oh no.
And this is the first time you see the Chameleon since The Amazing Spider-Man issue 1, where he was the first ever Spider-Man villain, not counting Uncle Ben's murderer, which I don't think counts as a supervillain.
Just a regular old murderer.
Yeah. So Chameleon coming back to his place, he's like, fucking Spider-Man. Like, I got caught by him last time, and it for those who don't know, because he hasn't shown up in this cartoon yet, Chameleon is a guy who can like take on anyone's identity.
Yeah.
And it's a bit different how they do him in this show when he does come up, but in the comic he just like wears like latex masks and has loads of gadgets.
He's a master of disguise.
He's a master of disguise, and he's also Russian. So it's all like a lot of these Russian bad guys, because
it was the 60s.
It was the 60s, yeah. So he's kind of lamenting the fact that, Spider-Man got me last time and he got me deported back to Russia. And he's like, now I'm back to do more crime, and then I get this bank robbery and I don't get any money from it because Spider-Man fucked it up again. And he's like, last time Spider-Man kicked my ass, so I definitely need help on this one. Yeah. So he goes, I've got an idea. I'll call my old friend, Kraven the Hunter.
Oh my god.
Who's also Russian, so he's just like, yeah, my Russian friend. They later on revealed that Kraven and Chameleon, whose name, I think he's called Dimitri.
Yeah.
They're half-brothers. But this doesn't come up in the first issue. It's just like, my old friend.
They're definitely estranged. If they're like friends or brothers that are estranged, like it must have been a last resort. Like Chameleon's not gonna like bring it up for anything. Like I think he hates hanging out with him. He must hate hanging out.
I think they don't have the best of relationships, but I think they only ever hang out because they're like, well, we both want to kill this one 16-year-old boy.
Yeah. And like Kraven's all like, yeah, I want to bathe in his blood and dance in his like innards, and like Chameleon's like, fuck, dude, Jesus.
Yeah,
every time.
Calm the fuck down.
Calm the fuck down.
That's what I would love to see Kraven in live action in a sort of team environment, in a Sinister Six environment, and see him with other villains who are ridiculous, being like, why is this guy here?
This guy is actually just genuinely a crazy person.
Yeah, which again, if they were gonna do that, Drew Goddard was gonna make a Sinister Six movie.
Yeah.
Back when they were doing The Amazing Spider-Man 2, and it did sound kind of dumb, but I think Drew Goddard might have pulled it off, and a Sinister Six movie could have been fun with that kind of dynamic of Kraven the Hunter being there and getting shit talked by Sandman or whatever.
Yeah. Like Electro comes in and you got this one guy who's just like, he's eating a rat. Where did he get a rat from? Why is he eating it? Fucking hell, Kraven, get with the program. It's like sniffing shit, and he's like, why did you bring him here, Chameleon?
Well, Chameleon's got a good reason for bringing him in this story, because he calls him the most dangerous stalker on Earth. Which, taken one way is fine, and another way is slightly weirder.
Both ways accurate.
Well, he's more of a dangerous stalker in the episode, because he's actually stalking his ex-girlfriend.
Yeah. She's got a restraining order from this man.
Yeah, and in this, he's called in by the Chameleon, and back in the Bugle, JJ comes in. He's like, come on, Betty, Peter, everyone, let's go. We're going down to the pier. Kraven the Hunter's coming. And everyone's like, what's going on? Who is this guy?
Who the fuck is that guy?
And JJ is just like, yeah, he's coming from Africa, and describes him as he's trapped and defeated every type of beast that lives single-handed.
Hold on, how does JJ know this guy?
I'm assuming in this case it's more of this guy's a famous hunter guy from Africa, but like in real life, not everyone would know that information of some crazy wildlife guy. And he's just like, okay, well, we've got a tip that he's coming in again through a boat, because that's how they just arrive this point in time. And he just gets off the boat in full costume and walking down, and as he's doing it, everyone's like shouting at him, but they're shouting like compliments at him.
Oh, I thought they were heckling him.
No, it's like women are fawning over him. And as he's coming in, it's like, oh, isn't he handsome? Is one thing, and then the other one guy goes, actually, I say guy, they don't show who it is, but I'm gonna pretend it's a guy now. Yeah. So big, so powerful, so rugged looking. And then you're gonna like this. By coincidence, a crate breaks open, releasing myriad animals.
Oh no, the animal crate broke open. What were we gonna do?
It was like suspended from a crane. I guess they came in at the same time as Kraven for some reason. Maybe they were for the zoo. I don't know. But this crate breaks open, and it seems like in this same crate is snakes and gorillas. And
this is amazing.
Peter's there, and he's like, "Oh shit!" So he runs to get on his costume. Like, I gotta save people from
the
this.
snakes
And the gorillas. And these gorillas are massive as well. They're like 9 feet tall. It's pretty mental.
It's a big ass gorilla.
Yeah, but Spider-Man gets onto the scene, but before he can do anything, he sees Kraven's already taken them on, and Kraven grabs all these snakes and just like grabs them and just chucks them into this barrel, and then he takes on the gorillas, and one he takes down. he takes on Damon Albarn.
He does not feel good after that.
And he takes one down with what he calls his knockout punch, where he just punches it once in the chest and it's knocked out.
It's knocked out.
And the other one, he picks it up and just throws it and takes it out. And then Spider-Man's like, "Oh, this is embarrassing," and just goes back and changes again.
Yeah.
At which point Jonah is like, "All right, Pete, so you get some good photos of that. It's pretty lucky we were all here, right?" And then Pete has to be like, "Nope. I didn't. Sorry, I didn't get anything." And Jonah kind of has a mini meltdown over it, which kind of makes sense. He brought a photographer to the scene. Something dramatic happened. It's like, "Oh, sorry, I was
dicking around."
Yeah, I was just taking a whiz in the alley over there.
Yeah.
Sorry."
What happened? Oh, animals everywhere.
Yeah, you missed a Russian man like juggle a gorilla.
Yeah, he punched a gorilla in the chest. Well, Greenpeace were not happy.
I definitely think Peter has some things to say about Kraven.
Yeah.
I think if Kraven had like social media, he'd just be moaning about vegans all the time.
Yeah, because he'd eat meat raw.
Yeah.
He'd have like he'd get banned from Instagram for like showing a live video of him like killing an elk.
Yeah, I feel like Kraven would be like a guest on Alex Jones' podcast or something. You know.
He definitely drinks his own piss.
Yeah. Anyway,
He's like selling
on.
his own vitality stuff on Alex Jones' podcast. Get destroy his Curve the Hunter with these male vitality pills. Make you as strong as a hunter.
With that actually feeds in a little bit later.
Oh my god, really? Alex Jones shows up?
No, not that side of things. That would be strange for like 1964.
Yeah.
When Peter's back, he overhears Kraven say that he's here to hunt the most dangerous game, which is Spider-Man. What are you going to say?
I was going to say man.
Well, yeah, man, spider. But this is when JJ is surprising, because you think Jonah Jameson would jump in at this point and be like...
I think he'd cream in his jeans. He'd be like,
yeah. He'd be like, yes, someone wants to murder Spider-Man. Love it. Okay, let's go. Here's $1,000. What do you need?
Yeah.
But instead, he just starts talking to him, and he's like, "Oh, that's interesting." But he's like, I am behind the idea of you doing this, but remember, it is illegal. You can't just track and hunt a human being in this country." Which I think is like almost J. Jonah Jameson's jingoism is taking over, because he's kind of like, "Oh, okay, you're coming over here, you know, we got laws in this country," kind of thing. Whereas,
and all about the justice.
Yeah, with the Jamiroquai. But
yeah, the third day doesn't stand for jungle at all. No, stands for justice and jingoism and Jamiroquai.
I do kind of wish that either in this episode or in this issue, Jonah was more like loving it. But he's just like proper like,
no.
He's just like, yeah, just don't break any laws or anything. Kraven heads back to meet up with Chameleon, who like has all these files to give him, like, okay, if you want to study these, find out what his powers are, all this stuff. It's when Kraven's like starts juicing, drinking his jungle potion.
Get that jungle juice on.
Yeah, and he reveals that he's like, "Oh yeah, I'll be fine. I'll take out this guy because I've got enhanced strength and agility from this jungle potion that he stole from a witch doctor from an African tribe that no one has heard of."
Oh god, really?
Yeah, that's the explanation, and there's no flashback or anything. That's just him saying this in dialogue.
I just murdered an entire race of indigenous people.
Yeah, and that's why the key difference between this and the episode, because the episode they're very much like,
he's gonna die if he doesn't have this thing.
Yeah, and he's much more sympathetic storyline, and they have a love interest in there who's like trying to save him, and he's a tragic villain or whatever. Whereas in this comic, he's just an asshole, because he's not just a game hunter, which already a dickhead like Russian dude going over to Africa and just killing wildlife, but he's going over there. He's going to like some tribe that has had no contact with the human world, just stole their shit so we can get powerful and kill more animals.
Yeah.
This guy's a huge asshole. And then someone says, hey, I don't like this guy. Can you come over and kill him? And he's like, yeah, sure, I'll kill a human being.
Why not?
He's a huge dick.
He's a piece of shit.
He has like no redeeming qualities. And I kind of like that part of him in this. Because he's still got the ridiculous side, but he's also just a horrible man as well.
He's a crazy asshole.
Yeah. But he meets up with Chameleon, he drinks his potion, which he says gives him strength and speed and the ability to stop the charge of a bull elephant in one punch.
Ouch.
It's pretty impressive, to be fair.
I mean,
but also means he tested that out and he punched an elephant in the face.
I mean, he's probably done that many times. He's probably not trying to like provoke it so it charges at him first.
Yeah.
Because he's like, a still elephant is no problem, but like a charging elephant, that elephant's crippled.
Probably just shouted at it until it like came over.
Yeah, he's like, fuck you, elephant, like throwing rocks at it and stuff like that until it comes over. But yeah, this guy's an animal rights nightmare.
In this, Spider-Man is like just fighting thugs, at which point Kraven has like left the Chameleon and is just like watching him and studying him. And then Spider-Man comes up on the rooftop, sees Kraven, they just start talking, but Kraven immediately starts fighting him. And it's kind of an interesting fight because at one point he gets one clean shot in and he punches Spider-Man so hard in his shoulder that his whole arm goes numb.
Oh,
so
fuck.
Spider-Man's fighting with one arm.
Okay.
And you see in his little thought bubble, Kraven's like, he's still kicking my ass even though he's only got one arm.
Oh, nice.
So he's kind of still getting his ass kicked, but this is the other thing about him being a dick. He immediately just scratches him with this poison. Because he's like, oh, I'm losing. And that's the thing with him. He's always, as a character, he's always about like being the strongest human and the best hunter, but then he will cheat if he's losing.
He's greatly insecure.
Yeah. And he scratches him with this thing and then runs away.
Oh, shit.
And Spider-Man changes back into his civilian clothes and he's going around, but he's now just feeling dizzy and he's got the shakes and he's like hiding these symptoms from his aunt and stuff. And this, interestingly enough, is when he's talking to his aunt, that's when the first mention of Mary Jane comes up, which is like, oh, you should meet our neighbor's daughter, and tries to set him up. And this is in 15, so there's like 27 issues, maybe 37, until she actually, like, they face-to-face meet. But that's the first mention there, and he's kind of trying to hide all these symptoms, and then he goes to work and sees that, this is a bit unclear, this bit, but Jonah and Kraven have some kind of meeting. But Jonah again just says, hey, don't break any laws. And Kraven's like, yeah, whatever, and leaves.
Cool. Try and stop me.
And Spider-Man's like, okay, I'm just going to follow this guy because he's going to keep coming at me. So he places like a tracer on him and follows him to Central Park. Oh, no. But not Central Park Zoo. Just Central Park.
Just Central Park.
Yeah, there's no like Henry baiting animal jokes in there.
Oh.
Oh, at least, well, you got your animals at the start.
I got my snakes, yeah.
Yeah, you got your snakes and your knockout punch gorillas.
Why would you put snakes and gorillas in the same crate? That's just a bad idea.
Yeah, so they were so happy to be let out.
Yeah. Those gorillas should be like, I thought they'd be dead by the time. If you tried that in real life, those gorillas would be dead.
Yeah.
Like, I have so many questions about the animal crate, but that can come later.
Here's when we get a twist, because he's following him to Central Park.
Yeah.
Just watching Kraven go on his night stroll. Spider-Man's stealth sneaking behind him. And then we see Spider-Man follow him in. And it's a trap, because...
It's a trap.
As he follows Kraven through the park, he's followed by...
The Chameleon?
Kraven.
Okay, so is the Chameleon involved in this at all? Or is it just Kraven just fucking with this dude?
There's two Kravens, no.
Oh, God.
No. Spider-Man's immediately trapped in a net. And he gets out of the net and he's like, okay, I got to fight. And he sees two Kravens. He's like, what the hell is going on? And one of them starts playing a, air quotes, jungle drum.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
And then Spider-Man's like, oh, of course, the jungle drum to confuse your opponent when you're fighting. Because he's like, immediately like, oh, that makes sense.
This is all perfectly above board. That's very strategic.
So there's one Kraven who's like playing the drums while they fight. And then Kraven like gets this, again, not like hunting weaponry. He gets two bracelets that he attaches to Spider-Man's ankle and wrist, which are magnetized.
So he's kind of just like magnetized to his own like hand and to leg.
It's very much like the thing used in Captain America: The Winter Soldier in the elevator fight, where he has like a magnet thing and he's fighting it off while they're fighting them. It's that kind of thing. So he's trying to fight him with his like arm and leg stuck together.
That must fucking hurt, Jesus.
Yeah. He manages to get away. He webs it up so that magnetism doesn't work.
Sure.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's a made-up chemical, so they can say it does that. Now he's got rid of that. He's like, he sees one Kraven and dives at it and takes it out, and then the mask comes off, and it's the chameleon.
Yeah.
In disguise. So then he starts going after the real Kraven. But what Kraven doesn't know at this point is that there's a tracer on him. So he's like, okay, I'm gonna hide and like, you know, take Spider-Man by surprise. But Spider-Man keeps turning on his like, what's it called? The spider spotlight thing that's on his belt.
Oh, the crotch light.
Yeah, the crotch light. Which
call back to episode 1.
all those years ago, in episode 1.
What good times. Anyway.
But he's just shining this light on him, and then Kraven runs away and hides, and then he does it again. He does it like 6 times, and never at any point tells him he's got a tracer on him, just so Kraven gets like freaked out, like, oh, this guy's a better hunter than me.
Yeah.
He runs away, and he runs into a big web between 2 trees that Spider-Man set up. So he's all caught up, and then Spider-Man waits until the police arrive. Now they've got Chameleon and Kraven in custody. Yeah, and before he goes, he manages to get a few shots in so he can sell them to Jonah.
Yeah.
And then he goes to Jonah, who is so pleased with it, he's like, I'm going to give you a bonus. Betty, get the milk chocolate bar out of the safe. Which Peter's pretty happy with.
He gets chocolate and money.
Yeah, and then both Kraven and Chameleon are deported.
Going back to the gulag.
Yeah. And Spider-Man like sits on the pier and just watches them. Watches the sunset as they're deported.
Takes a bite of chocolate.
Yeah. And that's the end of that one.
Oh, so that's a really nice happy ending for Peter Parker for once.
Yeah, exactly. And
also, what happened to the poison? Like, is he still poisoned?
Oh yeah, during the fight he starts to recover, and then he makes a line about, oh, it turns out rigorous exercise was all it needed to get out of my system.
Oh.
I mean, they don't call it poison. They call it like sort of, I don't know, jungle dart or whatever. Yeah. I don't know, but it's something to just like fuck with his senses. But
okay.
He works it off.
Okay, I guess because Spider-Man is super resilient and stuff like that.
Yeah, and he just like, I don't know, sweated it out.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
Eat some chocolate. Watch the deportation in the sunlight. How great.
Deportation in the sunlight.
How romantic.
Yeah.
If only you could take Mary Jane. Watch these Russian men get sent to a gulag.
Yeah. But yeah, so you know, a happy day for the 60s. 2 Russian men were sent home.
Like 100,000 Americans back at home cheered. Not with that specific number, but that number did a cheer.
Yeah, I think when Chameleon first turned up as well, he was like an agent for Russia.
Yeah.
In that first issue, I think. But in this one, he was just like, he's just robbing banks. He got deported and he just came back and was like, I'm just going to steal from banks. There's something about New York, I guess. They really want to be there.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Kraven's going to come back in a later episode of this of
I'd
the
be
90
surprised
show.
if he didn't,
Yeah, but then they've got to give him a reason to, because they kind of concluded this story. Whereas in the comic, it's like, well, he can come back because he hates Spider-Man, he wants to hunt him, and he hasn't really changed as a person.
But here, he's kind of like been cured. He's got his like, he's getting laid now, and like he's in Africa doing his thing.
Yeah.
There's no reason for him to really come back.
Yeah, exactly.
Unless somehow like
maybe he just relapses.
He just takes the jungle like potion again.
Yeah, maybe he gets another jungle potion.
The same thing happens.
Maybe it's a new jungle potion. Maybe he actually goes and steals some shit from a witch doctor again.
Yeah. So maybe that's just coming, like the whole like colonialism from Kraven the Hunter. Because yeah, like I don't know. Maybe they just get divorced and it's just like post-divorce stress. He can't afford like the alimony payments. He has to rob banks.
He does look like a guy going through a crisis, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's going through some shit. Imagine going through divorce like proceedings and he goes to like the custody battle and this guy shows up like, I want half of everything.
I'll fight your lawyers to the death.
So we'll hold you in contempt if you don't stop. Oh, he's thrown the judge.
I'll have custody of the strongest child.
The strongest child. Quickly, children, fight. Throws a knife in the centre.
They're 2 months old. What are you doing? They can't crawl yet.
One will learn, or they will both die. Throws like a little baby like cub in there as well. No, this guy's crazy.
Never again do I get in the middle of a lover's spat. Stick a fork in me. I'm done.
One thing I wanted to ask you.
Yeah.
And this is especially interesting given that now you bring up Mysterio earlier, because I'm assuming you were saying that. For me, I'm always like, well, I don't think Mysterio is the best villain, but my heart's with him. I love Mysterio. He's a hilarious, interesting character to me. And Kraven's the one for you in that respect.
Yeah, definitely.
So now I want to find out what you think of the fact that there's going to be a Kraven the Hunter movie.
For the listeners listening to this, I'm kind of looking unimpressed right now. What?
Do you not know?
I thought we were doing Morbius.
Yeah.
Wait, who's playing Kraven?
They haven't announced it exactly.
Oh my god.
But I mean, this is one of these things that Sony,
Yeah.
they've been struggling with the Spider-Man license and trying to figure it out for a while.
Yeah.
They had their bad showing with Spider-Man 3, so they decided to reboot, probably too early because everyone was kind of sick, but they were going to lose the rights. So
they had to make something up.
So they did Amazing Spider-Man. That wasn't that well liked. And then they did Amazing Spider-Man 2, which was a clusterfuck.
It was very not well liked.
But also, it was a movie which was definitely trying to set up a Spider-Man cinematic universe, which super failed.
Like most cinematic universes.
Yeah, exactly. So they then ended up making a deal with Disney where they allowed Spider-Man to appear in all these MCU movies, and his solo movie would be in the MCU and would be made by Marvel Studios, but would be distributed by Sony. So it's still, they're getting a Spider-Man movie out there, but they're losing a little bit of money and someone else is making it for them.
Yeah.
But then it's kind of one of those things, is Avengers movies going to get more people in because Spider-Man's in it.
Yeah.
And those Spider-Man movies are going to get more people on because Iron Man's going to turn up or whatever.
Yeah.
So that was the kind of deal they got. But then they were like, okay, let's do Venom, who will come up in this show at some point, but is a villain who's very, very much tied
to Spider-Man.
To Spider-Man and to Peter Parker. And they found a way, kind of, to make that villain a solo film to himself while being a sort of anti-hero, which is more... They kind of do that in the comics. Venom being an anti-hero.
But there's plenty of character development behind that.
Yeah, exactly. And so they do their own version of that, but then, the thing that made it work is that they got Tom Hardy in, who sells so many people on watching a movie because everyone loves Tom Hardy.
The motherfucker can do anything.
Yeah, and me and Henry saw it. Did we see it on opening night?
It was fairly close to opening night, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't want to see it, but we still saw it pretty early.
We drank through it, and we still needed to drink more afterwards.
Yeah, we had I had 2 drinks or something.
Yeah.
And I wish I'd had 10.
I needed to be blackout drunk for this.
Yeah, but I felt hungover after the movie anyway. I just was not a fan, and Tom Hardy was entertaining in parts because he went off the rails with it, but it wasn't
competently made. A lot of it was terrible and incomprehensible.
But one of the big things that people got out of it, I feel, was that people were like, this movie is dumb, but that's why we love it. It's stupid and it's goofy, but so many people were like, oh, it's so bad it's good. I had such a fun time watching this movie. But even a lot of them were kind of not really we want this to have a sequel and everything.
We need more of these because we don't.
But then it made loads of money, and it made loads of money in China.
How much did it make in the end? Comparing to something like, I don't know, Aquaman, which made $1 billion or something worldwide.
At a budget of 100 million, which I don't think is especially big for these kind of movies.
Yeah, especially a superhero movie.
Yeah, it got 855 million.
That's pretty fucking good.
That's really good, and that's better than a lot of the MCU entries as well. It did really well, and a lot of that was it did really well in China.
Yeah, because there's no black people in that movie.
Yeah, maybe. But it did make a lot of money, and now they've announced a sequel, and also all their plans for a cinematic Spider-Man universe can now sort of go ahead. And they also made Into the Spider-Verse. Into the Spider-Verse, a few months later, that came out, which was genuinely incredible.
Actually quite good.
Yeah, an incredible movie that came out. Also made loads of money, and Sony are in a better place than they were before, because with the Spider-Man property before, they were underperforming and they were losing money every quarter. And they were not doing well, which is why it looked like they were going to maybe just sell the Spider-Man rights entirely. But now they've had all these wins.
Yeah.
So they're moving forward with all their stuff. And this is the lengthiest prelude to the fact that now they're going to do more films based off
Spider-Man villains.
Yeah.
Without the context of Spider-Man.
And so they put in Morbius, who I believe first appears in a Spider-Man comic. I'm not sure if he appears anywhere before that. But he ends up eventually getting his own series, but he's just a guy who undergoes a treatment for an illness and accidentally makes himself a vampire. So he's kind of almost like a science fiction vampire.
Yeah.
So it's not like a mystical fantasy thing, but he just has all the traits of a vampire.
But explained by science.
Exactly, and he's getting his own movie with Jared Leto playing him,
which is great.
Yeah, but that's the next one coming out, and again, like Jared Leto, big draw for a lot of people, so that might actually do well. But they've also said that they wanted to do a Kraven the Hunter movie, and this is not one of those things which has been like hard confirmed. Like Morbius is getting like Jared Leto's like posting promotional stuff for it on his Twitter and stuff now.
Oh yeah.
Whereas Kraven is going to be after. I think it's going to go like Morbius, Venom 2, and then maybe Kraven after that. But it's more like I think the head of Sony like said it in a statement, like, yeah, we're working on these movies, including Kraven Hunter, including, I think they were going to do a Black Cat and Silver Sable movie.
Yeah, I heard that.
Which I think was going to be called Silver and Black, which I think is actually a really cool title.
Yeah.
But now they've decided that those are going to be two separate movies,
Yeah.
which is again not a great idea.
No.
But yeah, it seems like they're going to be doing a Kraven the Hunter movie, which, from everything we've discussed here, Kraven has like one big storyline,
which is Kraven's Lost Hunt.
Yeah, that's the big famous one, and it's this dark story where he is basically like, this is my last hunt, I'm gonna take Spider-Man down. So he defeats Spider-Man, he buries him alive, and then he dresses up as Spider-Man and defeats an enemy that Spider-Man couldn't defeat or failed to defeat once to prove that he's better. And after proving that he is a superior person, he then shoots himself in the head. It's a super dark story, and it's just one of the few sort of good Spider-Man stories in the 90s that people cling to.
Yeah.
I believe it's in the 90s anyway.
The 90s needs something. Yeah, there's not a lot to work with.
Well, yeah, it's 87, so it's not even 90s.
Shit.
But that will explain it. And that's a big one, but again, I don't see how you adapt that for the big screen.
Without Spider-Man.
Yeah, that would be like doing The Dark Knight Returns for your first movie where Batman and Superman meet.
Yeah,
but
what kind of idiot would do that?
Yeah, so that's the thing people cling to. And I do love Kraven. And, you know,
I love Kraven.
Yeah, Henry really loves Kraven.
I really love Kraven.
Yeah, but I think that he's one of those people where the interesting thing is seeing him interact with someone else. It's fun seeing him interact with Spider-Man and have someone take the piss out of him.
Yeah, because he's so ridiculous as a concept. You're like, this is pretty much George of the Jungle, but like a dark, gritty version of George of the Jungle.
Exactly.
Yeah,
it's exactly that. It's also, I think, if you're having him as the protagonist, unless you're gonna go, like for instance, what at least they seem to be trying to do with Joaquin Phoenix's Joker movie, so having this dark movie about a villain where you might have some sympathy, but he's also a psychopath or something.
Yeah.
If they went with Kraven, they can't go too serious because it will just
all of it is stupid.
Because it is ridiculous. But then also, if you're to take him seriously at any point, or focus on him and actually empathize with him, he's a guy who at the very least is someone who kills animals for a living, you know, who's all about trophy game hunting and brags about punching an elephant in the face. Isn't exactly the most like charismatic, interesting guy to follow. And if they get like, I don't know, some sexy like Zac Efron type to play him to get people in, and again, like that's the thing that's working for them, is like going, fuck it, okay, Tom Hardy is Venom, okay, fuck it, Jared Leto is Morbius,
Daniel Day-Lewis is Kraven.
Yeah, well, no, who do we have him as? We already have him set.
He can do multiple things. He's got a
oh no, he's playing Scorpion. Yeah.
Fuck,
too late now.
Damn. Christian Bale.
You know what?
He would go super fucking method. It would be great.
What? No, you got to have someone like, one of the names that gets thrown around a lot by fans thinking of like who they want to cast is, and I can never say his name, but is Joe Manganiello.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, as in like Flash Thompson from the Raimi Spider-Man films.
Yeah, which everyone will forget, including me, forgot about.
Oh my god.
But he's actually quite a good fit for Kraven, I think.
Yeah.
But again, yeah, have him set as some sexy asshole Kraven who turns up in a Spider-Man movie, you know?
Yeah.
I don't need 2 hours of character development to explain why this guy thinks it's fun to beat up animals and
there's no amount of exposition that makes that.
Yeah, the more you focus on it, the less interesting it gets.
Yeah. Which is what they said about Venom, to be fair.
Yeah, but at least Venom, there's a lot of lore there. There's a lot of, the symbiote itself is complicated and strange, and the idea of a character having like sharing like a parasite that's kind of helpful but also not. There is stuff there.
There's a good story there.
There's a story there, and whether they do it well or not is up to you. But with Kraven, I just don't see how that could ever work, and I kind of hope that they just don't end up doing it. Or if he just turns up in it, I'd rather see Kraven turn up in a Venom movie.
Yeah.
Even though that doesn't really make sense, it's fine, you know.
Do you know how I think they'll do it? Like, I had this idea for a book, actually, that, like, if they end up doing it, Sony, like, you owe me royalties. But I think they might take from James Reeves' version, so they'll have him as, like, a scientist who's working on a cure for, like, animals or whatever. And he'll get lost in the jungle, become, like, really, like, at one with the animals. And they might have him, like, I don't know, get, like, transported to New York because his favourite lion got, like, deported. Or taken to New York to be in a zoo.
Right. Oh no! Wait. So his hunter. So he's a hunter, but he's only a hunter in terms of like he's become like a feral lion type creature.
He's fighting with his own like humanity as well.
But he's never at any point like just like running around with a gun and shooting animals.
No.
So they could just trim out everything about him that makes him like an
asshole,
and just keep the look and
like the basic animal theme of it.
Yeah, actually, you know what? I can see them doing that.
Yeah.
I can see someone having this conversation right now, and some producers deciding that.
I really hope it's me first because I can claim copyright and I can get money from this. But like, I'm happy if also like just to have the self-satisfaction of knowing if I guessed it ahead of time.
Yeah, if Daniel Day-Lewis gets cast as Scorpion, then we should make some money.
Agents' fees at least.
Yeah.
That's what I'm hoping, at least.
We got that gig. He needs help.
Yeah.
He needs help.
He needs money.
Guy to retire was going so badly.
Yeah. He is, like, going to hiding.
One last job.
One last ride. Do you reckon this is all part of, like, his retirement film where he plays a retired person?
Man, there's going to be so many, like, film buffs who are so upset. Like, art film geeks, you know, who hate superhero movies, and they're like, Daniel Day-Lewis comes back for one last film. Oh my god, is he going to team up with Paul Thomas Anderson again? No, he's playing the Scorpion.
In a standalone film.
Yeah, in a standalone film. He's in Morbius too.
He plays Matt Gargan, but without the powers. He's just going to get shit on for 2 hours.
No, that's the Netflix version of Scorpion. Is he just doesn't have any powers, and he.
Yeah, no.
But
in
terms of this episode,
I think we're like we're pretty much there. So yeah, like that was episode 7 of That 90s Spider-Man Show, and yeah, what did we learn from this episode?
Like Spider-Man, I learned nothing.
I learned don't be Robbie Robertson at any point in your life because
but sometimes everyone has to.
Someone has to.
Yeah, some days you just gotta be Robbie Robertson. You're just having your morning coffee, and then you're just attacked by a wild jungle man.
I think that's something we can all like kind of take away from this. Mm-hmm. So yeah, whenever you come back early from vacation, maybe especially don't stay at home. That's the end of episode 7 of That 90s Spider-Man Show. I hope you've enjoyed it. Thanks for tuning in. Please follow us on our various social medias.
Yeah, all the links for all that stuff will be below.
Fantastic.
There's also show notes stuff. I mean, we've got a description in the iTunes description, Spotify description, wherever you're watching this on. Viewing.
Well, you can be watching like word. In your mind, like ear watching.
But you could be watching a blank phone screen.
Yeah. Assuming you're not doing anything else, you're just kind of sitting watching your phone as you listen to this podcast.
Yeah, that's what I do. Just
do you not do that? Yeah.
Yeah, just crouched in the dark in the corner.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, if you go to the description, there'll be a link to go to the blog, which will actually have like a full episode description, because there's times in this when we talk about the comic or something where we'll refer to things, so there'll be images and stuff like that and a bit more context. Links to our Twitter will be there as well, and our email, and please subscribe to this and keep listening and re-listen and review and give the most amount of stars it lets you.
Don't give 1 star, give 5 stars. Please give us 5 stars, as many stars as possible. And yeah, if you're enjoying, if you have any questions or anything like that, please let us know via social media /email. We'll be happy to ignore your emails, but it's nice to know that you care. But yeah, that's the end of episode 7. Thank you for tuning in. Please go about your lives. No, seriously, please go about your lives. Don't sit here watching your phone.